are here this afternoon to take up the continuing resolution bill. I would just make one point, and it is a bill that is where the debt limit is not attached. And my colleague on the other side of the aisle brought up the issue of the debt limit. It's very hard for me to really to understand the reluctance of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, both in the House and in the Senate, for their willingness to raise the debt limit. The debt limit is a shared responsibility of both parties. In the past, Democrats have voted to increase the debt limit under Republican presidents because, as certainly should be well known here, maybe the general public doesn't understand it, but I do, because when they incur bills and the bill comes in the mail, they don't have the luxury of saying, I'm opposed to paying my bills, and I will not do it. Ordinary people in this country understand that you do, when you incur debt, that you have to pay for it. You don't have the luxury of saying no. Maybe our colleagues in both the House and the Senate believe that this is a luxury, that they can just say no. But throwing the United States into default and destroying the full faith and credit of the United States is not governing. It is not a shared responsibility or shared principle of values on who we are. As it turns out, just because the prior administration was in the hands of my Republican colleagues, that 97% of that debt was incurred under the prior administration, the Republican administration. So this is not about paying for, as some of my colleagues would like to say, spending going forward. It's not the case. It really is not the case. It is about paying for what we have already incurred. And in a bipartisan way, I might add, we did incur debt. We passed what was necessary in a bipartisan way to address the issues of the greatest economic and healthcare crisis that this nation has experienced in a generation, with the pandemic. And we came forward with CARES packages, with a rescue package, and we said it's a necessity. We have to make sure that we have an airline industry. We have to make sure that restaurants can stay open. We have to make sure that we have child care facilities. We have to make sure that our hospitals can cope with what's coming in the door. We have to move to testing, and we have to look at how we are able to get people in this country vaccinated. And we came together to make those, to incur that kind of a debt. And now it is time for us to recognize that we need to raise that debt ceiling in order to do that. I just might add, and I'll speak personally about this, when the prior administration instituted the tax cut, $2 trillion in a tax cut that went to the richest 0.1% of the people in this nation. I was opposed to that. I couldn't support it. I spoke out against it here on the floor of the House, in my own community. But yet, when President Trump called for an increase in the debt limit, I said yes, because I believed it was my duty, it was my responsibility to make sure that the full faith and credit of the United States was addressed. So I still do not understand the reluctance, except maybe for political reasons. But nevertheless, we are here today. I would also make a comment on the Iron Dome, and as we pointed out last week, as I did, that we needed to, in fact, really be there always for our ally in the Middle East, our trusted ally in Israel. It's my understanding, and that we moved forward with a freestanding bill and a suspension, which we passed. And it's my understanding that the Senate is going to move in the same direction. So with that, I continue to reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady from Texas.